English and Spanish.
Very good. So here we are. This is being live streamed at this very moment. Now, should I sing Damodar tonight, or do you want? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
English and Spanish.
Okay. And let me go back here to share the screen. All right. And screen share.
Okay, and I should mute, right?
I'm sorry.
I'll sing along, but muted.
As you like. Okay.
Because it sounds funny when we try to sing together.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of technology out there, but they haven't got that down yet. Okay. So I'm on the song here, and now share the screen. Okay, great. And bring it down to here. And does everyone is that a good size for the lyric, the font? Good enough?
Okay for me.
Okay.
Good for me. It's good for me.
Yeah, no, Baba Trini, here it says the author is Vyasadeva, but in Achyutananda Prabhu's songbook, he wrote Satyavrata Muni. So do you know anything about that? The authorship of Damodar
Right. Satyavrata Muni had a vision of it before Veda Vyasadeva wrote the Bhagavatam.
Oh, really?
I can't remember. I think Nareen knows. I don't remember. But I think it's in the Bhagavatam. That's why they say Veda Vyas wrote it.
Well, it says actually here that it's sourced from the Padma Purana by Vyasadeva.
No, it's actually that sage. What was his name?
Satyavrata Muni.
Satyavrata Muni, yeah.
Okay.
But Vyasadeva may have recorded it.
Recorded it? Okay, I see. Written down. He didn't go to the recording studio.
Yeah.
Ganesh was his recording.
He didn't do it on Zoom either.
No. Ganesh was his recording engineer.
I have the songbook for Srila Puri Maharaj, and it says from Padma Purana.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe, yeah, who knows? Can you look up who Satyavrata Muni is, please?
Sure.
Just nice to know where does he come in?
Right.
Okay, so back to the song, and I'll start it up right now because it's already 7:45 here. Okay. Namam Ishvaram Satchit Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabiyolukaladdavamanam Param Ristam Matyantato Drutya Gopyam Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmang Mrijantam Karam Bhuja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhushvashakam Patrere Ankakanta Shtita Graivam Damnodaram Bhakti Badam Iti Drikswa Lila Bira Nanda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akyapayantam Tadyeshi Tagyeshu Bhakterjitatvam Puna Prematasthang Shata Vritti Vande Varam Deva Mokshang Na Moksha Vadingva Nachanyam Vrinehang Vare Shadapiha Idang Teva Purnata Gopalabalam Sada Mimana Sabira idang timukam bojam atyantanilam vritang kuntalaishnigdaraktais chagopyam muhuschumbitam bimbaraktadarang me manasavirastam malam lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuka Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vristyati Dinang Batanu Griha Nishamam Magyam Mediakshi Drishya Kuverat Majau Bada Murityai Vayadva Tvaya Mochitao Bhakti Bhajo Kritocha Tata Prema Bhakting Swakam Me Prayacha Namukshigraho Me Stidam Namaste stu damne spura dipti damne Tvadi udarayata vishvasya damne Namo radikayai tvadi apriyayai Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Why don't you start, Krishna Chandra, then Bhavatrini, and Mirhari is finished.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances.
Bhavatrini? Are you there? Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. Bhavatrini and Hari.
We're still setting, sorry.
Let's just read.
Okay, I'll read it. Where are we? By such childhood pastimes. Is that where we are? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence, that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodar hundreds and hundreds of times.
Is Baba Trini busy?
Yes,
Oh
he's-
Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopala in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this?
I'm not sure where all the noise is coming from, but if there's some activity going on, if you can put the mute on, it's
Yes. we will.
yeah, okay, my turn. Oh Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May the beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. Krishna Chandra?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm sorry. I was revert. Okay. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes.
Bavatrini or Nrihari?
O Lord Damodar, just as the 2 sons of Kubera, Manigriva and Nalakubara, were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar. In the same way, please give to me your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation.
O Lord Damodar, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes.
Shri Damodarastaka Ki Jai. Okay.
Aye.
I'm thinking maybe to save your song for the end, because hopefully we'll have the most devotees present. Nanda Patni already told me that she has a conference to attend, and then she has to go to the temple after that for Govardhana Puja. It may just be the 4 of us tonight and the residents of Govardhana Hill.
Well, we can go ahead and do it, because if we don't, we've got it set up, we'll have to stand the entire.
Okay,
class.
so it's a good time to do it now?
So we can do it, and then afterwards unplug the guitars and sit down and take the
Sure. Are the lyrics anywhere at a link anywhere, or that's probably
No, not yet.
no,
okay.
We recorded Govardhana? No.
no, we never,
We haven't recorded yet.
yeah.
We have a
Okay.
lot of material there.
Did you find out, did you know?
You'll be recording it now.
Yeah.
Just
So,
make sure the electric guitar does not drown out.
Yeah, we're going to play it a little bit and make sure it sounds all right before we do the
Cool.
song.
Okay, sound check. Check.
Sound check.
Krishna, Rama. Check 1, 2.
Are our mics working? Hare
What
Krishna.
about the guitar?
You're pretty loud there, Hari. Let's do your guitar, Bavatrini.
It's just that I do. She cannot be as loud as I
I
am.
don't know. He said
Yeah, no, you're much
voices too
softer
much.
than your Hari. That's fine. Actually, your volume is better because we want to hear the lyrics.
Right.
Yeah, you will hear it. So,
No sense.
Could you tell us a little history of this song? When did you write it?
I don't remember. It was
In the 70s?
No, I wrote it in 2008 or 9.
Where were you?
And well, I think we were in Seattle, and he's got this beautiful song about Govardhana with a fantastic melody in it.
Who
It's
does?
really
Who does?
long.
Who
He
does?
does, but he's
Oh.
Marie Hari. He was writing it, and so one day I just made up a little short intro to Govardhana song.
Okay.
So
Nice.
he never finished his song, but it's like my Venu Gita, you know. It's so I just came up with the song like all at once. You know how sometimes
It's a work in progress, is it?
not mine, his is.
Okay.
Mine's a really short song that just says a little bit about Govardhan,
Okay.
and you know, it just came to me like in
Sure.
a flash.
Okay.
can you
And
see
of
us? The
Yes.
sound is okay.
See perfectly.
And he of course always improves my musical arrangements.
We see a lot of your ceiling, and only Baba Trini, we see you from the neck up. We see a lot of your roof.
Hmm. Do I have half a minute to share research, or you're about to sing?
Yes, I'd like to hear about the
Yeah, on the Satyavrata Muni,
I found something. It says the following is from Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj.
Okay.
This stotra named Sri Damodarastaka is found in the Padma Purana, being spoken by Sri Satyavrata Muni during a conversation with Sri Narada, Saunaka, and other sages.
Huh.
Srila Sanatan Goswamipad states in his commentary on this prayer that it is Nitya Siddha, an eternally perfect prayer, that it was manifested through Sri Satyavrata Muni, and it is actually capable of attracting Sri Damodar Krishna. He has fully elaborated on this prayer's ability to attract Lord Damodar in his exhaustive purports, which are abounding in his own personal realizations.
Thank you. Thanks for doing the research. Send me the link if you can into the.
Oh yes, I'll get that
I'd
for
like to
you.
check it out again later.
Sure.
Are you ready, folks?
I don't know. Let's play the melody and chant Hare Krishna a second, see how it sounds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Is that okay?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
What do you think, Krishna Chandra? Was that good?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh.
Hari, the best of the devotees. Govardhana Hari, best of the devotees. Radha says I will not come to this world without Govardhana. So he was placed by Hanuman in the land of Vrindavan. Oh, Govardhana Hari,
and best of the devotees. Govardhana Giri Hari, and best of the devotees.
Another time in this age, he was placed there by a sage to make a transcendental space for Krishna's pastimes to take place. Govardhana Giri Hari, best of the
devotees. Govardhana Giri Hari, best of the devotees.
Without Jamuna flowing by, Radha Shama cooled his two eyes. Scented breezes blowing by, where the divine couple lies. Scented breezes blowing by, Govardhana Giri Hari,
Best of the devotees. Govardhana Giri Hari,
and
best of the devotees. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. Cada dice no vendré a este mundo sin Govardhana. Es por eso que Hanuman lo puso allí en Vrindavan. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. No traerá en otro tiempo otro aquí el viejo sabio para crear un lugar trascendental donde la pareja podría jugar. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. Con el Damodar corriendo cerca, a la funda llama funda sus dos ojos. Aromas dulces y brisas suaves, donde la pareja divina reposa. Donde la pareja divina reposa. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. Govardhana Giri Raja, mejor de todos los devotos. Best of the devotees. Best of the devotees. Govardhana Giri Raja ki jai. Haridas Varya ki jai.
Govardhana Giri Hari.
Oh, he's playing it on the
Oh, neat.
Pretty catchy, pretty catchy.
Yes,
All right.
it is.
If you did that for the Spanish devotees, they'd eat it up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They'd love it.
We were gonna do a tour. We were gonna do a tour with Bhakti Swarup Siddhar Maharaj, who had been going to Mexico because, as you know, your Guru Maharaj Krishna Chandra, he
Yes.
opened centers in Mexico and like that.
Mhm.
And so there's many devotees. So Bhakti Swarup Siddhar Maharaj would go there to
For 11
So,
years.
for
Mm.
14 years.
14 years. Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
one of the tours he wanted us, actually, when we brought him here to Hawaii, he wanted us to
Mm.
go to
Mexico.
Mexico with him.
Nice.
Mm.
The devotees were all excited.
I know devotees in Chile.
Make it.
I have a
Oh.
contact in Chile. I know they'd love for you to do it
Mm.
there.
Oh, nice.
I can be your agent and get you a gig anytime you want.
Oh, okay.
I won't even take 5%.
Mm. I
5%
Can
of
you take
nothing.
prashad? Can you take prashadam?
5% of nothing.
Actually, what I'll do it so I can get the punya for doing it. That'll be more than any percent.
Yeah.
You know, if we have time tonight, I don't know if we will, but I have this beautiful book. I've never read it cover to cover. Have you
oh,
seen
wow.
it?
Oh, what do you have?
Govardhana Hill.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a whole it's a whole picture book.
Who
on-
wrote that?
Actually it was compiled by Rajashekar Das Brahmachari. Yeah.
I think Krishna's store sells that. I really should get a copy.
Yeah. There's one on Govardhan, there's one on Vrindavan, and there's one on Radhakund. There's
And they're
3.
picture books.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So I bet you there's a map. Oh, good. There's a map too. I forgot about it. There's a whole map.
And he has to go get his glasses.
Yeah, there's a whole map. Can you see this?
Yes, yes.
I don't know.
Oh, we heard something that I never heard before. What was the advent of Govardhan?
Oh, by Pulastya Muni?
No, the advent of Govardhan, not it being brought somewhere. What
Okay.
was the appearance?
Would you
One
like-
day, yeah, I just heard this in one of the classes and I don't remember who said it.
Okay.
But it was Jadharani Shamarani, and she probably said where it was said. So one day, Radharani said to Krishna, "How much do you love me? Show me." So he picked up a rock, and the rock started growing. And when it got to like, what was it? I'm telling you the advent of Govardhan. Radharani said, "How much do you love me? Show me." And he picked up a rock, a stone, and it started expanding and it was getting bigger and bigger. How big was it?
65 miles tall.
When it got to be 65 miles tall and how long?
Do you remember it was 60? I think it's 60 something miles
Long
wide,
and
or
65 miles tall.
it's 8 yojanas
Yeah.
high.
And Krishna and Radharani said, "That's enough. You can stop now."
Wow. It really shrunk a lot over the years.
Well, you know,
So-
it's cursed to lose a mustard seed. How often? Every year?
Yeah. Every year. Yeah.
But you know, that's 5,000 mustard seeds. So I don't think 5,000 mustard seeds would come up to the height of 65.
I don't think so.
So they said it's actually separation.
It's-
That's what you were saying. Oh, Vrindavan looks so dry, and you know there are some areas where Maharaj described that the bushes are all
Which
Like
Maharaj? Which Maharaj?
Sri Narayana Maharaj. When
Okay.
we went on Parikrama, he
Yeah.
would explain if you want to. There's a great site. It's called Gaudiya Rasamrita. It's in
Okay.
WhatsApp. Gaudiya Rasamrita, and it's the
It's on
audio.
WhatsApp?
It's on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Can you hear us? Put the
Yes,
mic.
yes.
It's on WhatsApp, and it's called Gaudiya Rasamrita.
RITA.
Yeah, and so they had so many files of all kinds of films that devotees made while they were in Parikram with Sri Narayana Maharaj.
Uh-huh.
We came in after the 96, but many of the older ones. Anyhow, they have every single day. So yesterday we were watching about Govardhan and the whole ceremony of what he did. But it was something in reference before who I was with. What did he say?
we only have 45 minutes left to
Okay,
read.
let's read about Govardhana and Krishna.
Yeah, otherwise we
If
can
you
spend.
remember it, we'll go back to it.
Yeah. I'm not that I want to discourage, but I'm just saying.
No, it's like,
It's about Govardhana.
yeah, but when you remember.
Oh, so he
okay.
said it's due to separation.
Oh, that's right.
So many of the places and like that, they dry out. Many of the trees have gone the separation. But curious enough, in the Emily Tal, that tree that was a tamarind tree that
Tamarind tree.
that's what Krishna goes after. What he kind of find Radharani. That tree, Srinarayana says that there is a new tree growing, and he said that's the same personality is growing in that tree, the same jiva.
The new Emily Tal tree is the same.
So
jiva.
Things that are disappearing, like the Tamal tree in the courtyard at Krishna Balaram Mandir. He left us not too long ago, and like that. Anyhow, there is also the mystery of Govardhana. Is he the Lord? Is he a servant, and also is he actually is Radharani?
We discussed that last
So we
time.
discussed that.
All of the above.
Yeah, right.
So it's Achinta.
So I might have to add a Giri Rani to my song.
Is that actually chanted by some people? Giri Rani? Yeah. Okay. Could you please put your camera down because we just see your necks and heads. That's better. Yeah. Okay. I'll go to the actual page of the book now. And let's see, where is that located? All right. Worshipping Govardhana Hill. Here we go. Can everyone see that? Worshipping Govardhana Hill?
I can.
Yep.
Okay. Chapter 24 of the Krishna book. While engaged with the Brahmins who were too involved in the performance of Vedic sacrifices, Krishna and Balaram also saw that the coward men were preparing a similar sacrifice in order to pacify Indra, the king of heaven, who is responsible for supplying water. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a devotee of Krishna has strong and firm faith in the understanding that if he is simply engaged in Krishna consciousness and Krishna's transcendental loving service, then he is freed from all other obligations. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna doesn't have to perform many of the ritualistic functions enjoined in the Vedas, nor is he required to worship any demigods. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one is understood to have performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and all kinds of worship to the demigods. Just by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or worshiping the demigods, one does not develop devotional service for Krishna, but one who is engaged fully in the service of the Lord has already finished all Vedic injunctions. Krishna ordered a stop to all such activities by his devotees, for he wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotional service during his presence in Vrindavan. Krishna knew that the coward men were preparing for the Indra sacrifice because he is the omniscient personality of Godhead. But as a matter of etiquette, he began to inquire with great honor and submission from elder personalities like Maharaj Nanda and others. Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Krishna asked his father, "My dear father, what is this arrangement going on for a great sacrifice? What is the result of such sacrifice, and for whom is it meant? How is it performed? Will you kindly let me know? I am very anxious to know this procedure, so please explain to me the purpose of this sacrifice." Upon this inquiry, his father Nanda Maharaj remained silent, thinking that his young boy would not be able to understand the intricacies of performing the yajna. Krishna, however, persisted. "My dear father, for those who are liberal and saintly, there is no secrecy. They do not think anyone to be a friend or enemy because they are always open to everyone. And even for those who are not so liberal, nothing should be secret for the family members and friends, although secrecy may be maintained for persons who are inimical. Therefore, you cannot keep any secrets from me. All people are engaged in fruitive activities. Some know what these activities are, and they know the result, and some execute activities without knowing the purpose or the result. A person who acts with full knowledge gets the full result. One who acts without knowledge does not get a perfect result. Therefore, please let me know the purpose of the sacrifice which you are going to perform. Is it according to Vedic injunction, or is it simply a popular ceremony? Kindly let me know in detail about the sacrifice. On hearing this inquiry from Krishna, Maharaj Nanda replied, "My dear boy, this ceremonial performance is more or less traditional, because rainfall is due to the mercy of King Indra, and the clouds are his representatives. And because water is so important for our living, we must show some gratitude to the controller of this rainfall, Maharaj Indra. We are arranging, therefore, to pacify King Indra, because he has very kindly sent us clouds to pour down sufficient quantity of rain for successful agricultural activities. Water is very important. Without rainfall, we cannot farm or produce grains. We cannot live if there is no rainfall. It is necessary for successful religious ceremonies, economic development, and ultimately liberation. Therefore, we should not give up the traditional ceremonial function. If one gives it up being influenced by lust or greed or fear, then it does not look very good for him."
Okay, before we continue on, I just want to see if I can locate the painting here. And I'm trying to see, how do I find that? Do I have to stop the share? Because I saved a few paintings just so everyone could be reminded of them. And so this first one I wanted to show is what we just finished reading. And okay, here it is. Great. How do I get back here? Back to Zoom and share screen. Okay. I believe this is what's going on. This is Krishna speaking to Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd man. And there they have the whole yagya ready to go. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I've
I've never
never
seen this.
seen
before.
this. It's
Really?
Either, yeah, this is my
It's
first time.
European, done in Europe, I think, at the Machiavelli's place that they had in Florence, I think. Maybe this was done by Dira Lalita or Dirga.
Yeah,
I'm not
it
sure.
has like a composition and like that of the characters is very much remind me of some of the classics up here.
The old masters, like
The old masters, yeah. Very, very neat.
It was
Right.
painted by a European devotee.
No, a devotee in Europe.
Oh,
I'm not sure if this is Ram Abhiram style or what's her name? Miriam Burks. What's her name?
Dira.
Dira.
No.
Okay.
Retreat.
Driti.
Pretty.
Driti.
It's not her style, is it?
No.
No.
Okay. I could
No,
ask.
she's more. You can see the influence of French painters.
Right.
The background of all the nature background, but whereas this is more a Renaissance kind of masters of in Venice and like that. Yeah, well, that's.
But she said there's one. Is her name Durga or Dirga?
There's one god sister, Durga. She's our god sister, but she said she told me she got tired of being called Durga.
Okay.
Jagat Guru Swami Narasimha Maharaj changed her name to Dira Lalita.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Is she French?
Yes, she is. Mhm.
Okay, that looks like her style. She used to
Dominique something. Yes.
She used to use my daughter Amrita for her paintings.
Oh, you're Lila Amrita?
No, I had a daughter named Amrita
Oh,
that she used to use when she was
As a
in
model.
LA as a
as a
model.
model. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nihari and Bhavatrini, it's your turn now. After hearing this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I gotta bring up the screen again.
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right.
After hearing this, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the presence of his father and all the coward men of Vrindavan, spoke in such a way as to make heavenly King Indra very angry. He suggested that they forego the sacrifice. His reasons for discouraging the sacrifice performed to please Indra were twofold. First, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no need to worship the demigods for any material advancement. All results derived from worshiping the demigods are simply temporary, and only those who are less intelligent are interested with temporary results. Secondly, whatever temporary results one derives from worshiping the demigods is actually granted by the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mayaiva vihitan hitan. Whatever benefit is supposed to be derived from the demigods is actually bestowed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot bestow any benefit upon others. But sometimes the demigods become puffed up by the influence of material nature, thinking themselves as all in all. They try to forget the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that in this instance, Krishna wanted to make King Indra angry. Krishna's advent was specially meant for the annihilation of the demons and protection of the devotees. King Indra was certainly a devotee, not a demon, but because he was puffed up, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. He first tried to make Indra angry by stopping the Indra Puja, which was arranged by the cowmen in Vrindavan. Continue.
That was only
That
one
was
paragraph.
one long paragraph. With this purpose in mind, Krishna began to talk as if he were an atheist, supporting the philosophy of karma mimamsa. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Advocates of this type of philosophy do not accept the supreme authority of the personality of Godhead. They put forward the argument that if anyone works nicely, their result is sure to come. Their opinion is that even if there is a God who gives man the result of his fruitive activities, there is no need to worship him, because unless man works, he cannot bestow any good result. They say that instead of worshiping a demigod or God, people should give attention to their own duties, and thus the good result will surely come. Lord Krishna began to speak to his father according to these principles of karma mimamsa philosophy. My dear father, he said, I don't think you need to worship any demigod for the successful performance of agricultural activities. Every living being is born according to his past karma and lives this life simply taking the result of his present karma. Everyone is born in different types of or species of life according to his past activities, and he gets his next birth according to the activities of this life. Different grades of material happiness and distress, comforts and disadvantages of life are different results of different kinds of activities, either from the past or present life.
Maharaj Nanda,
Yes.
okay, Maharaj Nanda and the other elderly members argued that without satisfying the predominating God, one cannot derive any good results simply by material activities. This is actually the fact. For example, it is sometimes found that in spite of first-class medical help and treatment by a first-class physician, a diseased person dies. It is concluded, therefore, that first-class medical treatment or the attempts of a first-class physician are not in themselves the cause for curing the patient. There must be the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, A father's and mother's taking care of their children is not the cause of the children's comfort. Sometimes it is found that in spite of all care by the parents, the children go bad or succumb to death. Therefore, material causes are not sufficient for results. There must be the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nanda Maharaj therefore advocated that in order to get good results for agricultural activities, they must satisfy Indra, the superintending deity of the rain supply. Lord Krishna nullified this argument, saying that the demigods give results only to persons who have executed their prescribed duties. Therefore, demigods are dependent on the execution of duties and are not absolute in awarding good results to anyone. My dear father, there is no need to worship the demigod Indra, Lord Krishna said. Everyone has to achieve the results of his own work. It got little, real tiny.
Sorry, what happened?
Oh,
How
I
did
got
that
like
happen?
double screen or something.
Yeah.
Let me stop the share. Sorry, I don't know how that happened. I'm seeing you on YouTube all of a sudden. How did that happen? Okay, there we go. There's the page. Okay, great. And screen share. Sorry about that, Bob Trini. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. We can actually see that one becomes busy according to the natural tendency of his work. And according to that natural tendency, all living entities, either human beings or demigods, achieve their respective results. All living entities achieve higher or lower bodies and create enemies, friends, or neutral parties only because of their different kinds of work. One should be careful to discharge duties according to his, I thought I was on a different paragraph, according to his natural instinct, and not to divert attention to the worship of various demigods. The demigods will be satisfied by proper execution of all duties, so there is no need to worship them. Let us rather perform our prescribed duties very nicely. Actually, one cannot be happy without executing his proper prescribed duty. One who does not, therefore, properly discharge his prescribed duties is compared with an unchaste woman. The proper prescribed duties of the Brahmins is the study of the Vedas. The proper duty of the royal order, the Kshatriyas, is engagement in protecting the citizens. The proper duty of the Vaishya community is agriculture, trade, and protection of the cows. And the proper duty of the Sudras is service to the higher classes, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. We belong to the Vaishya community, and our proper duty is to farm or trade with the agricultural produce, to protect cows, or to take to banking.
I just want to check to see if there's anybody else here. I can't tell. Nope, it's just us, folks. Okay, back to the reading. Back to me. Okay. Or take the meeting. Krishna identified himself with the Vaishya community because Nanda Maharaj was protecting many cows and Krishna was taking care of them. He enumerated 4 kinds of business engagements for the Vaishya community, namely agriculture, trade, protection of cows, and banking. Although the Vaishyas can take to any of these occupations, the men of Vrindavan were engaged primarily in the protection of cows. Krishna further explained to his father, this cosmic manifestation is going on under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. These 3 modes are the causes of creation, maintenance, and destruction. The cloud is caused by the action of the mode of passion. Therefore, it is the mode of passion which causes the rainfall. And after the rainfall, the living entities derive the result, success in agricultural work. What then has Indra to do in this affair? Even if you do not please Indra, what can he do? We do not derive any special benefit from Indra. Even if he is there, he pours water on the ocean also, where there's no need of water. So he's pouring water on the ocean or on the land. It does not depend on our worshiping him. As far as we're concerned, we do not need to go to another city or village or foreign country. There are palatial buildings in cities, but we are satisfied living in this forest of Vrindavan. Our specific relationship is with Govardhan Hill and Vrindavan Forest, and nothing more. I therefore request you, my dear father, to begin a sacrifice which will satisfy the local Brahmins and Govardhan Hill, and let us have nothing to do with Indra. You can see the scene is being set. Oh, dum, 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 dum. Indra's coming. Okay, Bhavatrini Nirhari. Oh no, excuse me, Krishna Chandra, pardon me.
Right. Okay. After hearing this statement by Krishna, Nanda Maharaj replied, "My dear boy, since you are asking, I shall arrange for a separate sacrifice for the local Brahmanas and Govardhan Hill. But for the present, let me execute this sacrifice known as Indra Yagya." But Krishna replied, "My dear father, don't delay. The sacrifice you propose for Govardhan and the local Brahmanas will take much time. Better take the arrangement and paraphernalia you have already made for sacrificing Indra Yagya and immediately engage it to satisfy Govardhan Hill and the local Brahmanas." The two paragraphs were very short, so
Go ahead, go take another.
I appreciate that. Maharaj Nanda finally relented. The cowherd men then inquired from Krishna how he wanted the yagya performed, and Krishna gave them the following directions. Prepare very nice foodstuffs for all descriptions from the grains and ghee collected for the yagya. Prepare rice, dal, then halva, pakora, puri, and all kinds of milk preparations like sweet rice, sweet balls, sandesha, rasagula, and ladu, and invite the learned brahmanas who can chant the Vedic hymns and offer oblations to the fire. The brahmanas should be given all kinds of grains in charity. Then decorate all the cows and feed them well. After performing this, give money in charity to the brahmanas. As far as the lower animals are concerned, such as the dogs, and the lower grades of people, such as the chandalas, or the fifth class of men who are considered untouchable, they also may be given sumptuous prasadam. After giving nice grasses to the cows, the sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja may immediately begin. This sacrifice will very much satisfy me.
Hari Bhavatrini.
In this statement, Lord Krishna practically described the whole economy of the Vaishya community. In all communities of human society and in animal kingdom, among the cows, dogs, goats, etc., everyone has his part to play. Each is to work in cooperation with for the total benefit of all society, which includes not only inanimate objects, but also inanimate objects like hills and land. The Vaishya community is specifically responsible for the economic improvement of the society by producing grains, by giving protection to the cows, by transporting food when needed, and by banking and finance. From this statement, we learn also that the cats and dogs, although not so important, are not to be neglected. Cow protection is actually more important than protection of cats and dogs. Another hint we get from this statement is that the chandalas, or the untouchables, are also not to be neglected by the higher classes. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society, and some are only indirectly responsible. However, when Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone's total benefit is taken care of.
2.
The sacrifice.
The sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja is observed in the Krishna consciousness movement. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that since Krishna is worshipable, so his land Vrindavan and Govardhan Hill are also worshipable. To confirm the statement, Lord Krishna said that Govardhan Puja is as good as worship of him. From that day, the Govardhan Puja has been still going on and is known as Anakuta. In all the temples of Vrindavan or outside of Vrindavan, huge quantities of food are prepared in the ceremony and are very sumptuously distributed to the general population. Sometimes the food is thrown to the crowds and they enjoy collecting it off the ground. From these instances, we can understand that prasadam offered to Krishna never becomes polluted or contaminated, even if it is thrown on the ground. The people therefore collect it and eat it with great satisfaction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, therefore advised the cowherd men to stop the Indra Yaga and to begin the Govardhan Puja in order to chastise Indra, who was very much puffed up at being the supreme controller of the heavenly planets. The honest and simple cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, accepted Krishna's proposal and executed in detail everything he advised. They performed Govardhan worship and circumambulation of the hill. Following the inauguration of Govardhan Puja, people in Vrindavan still dressed nicely and assemble near Govardhan Hill to offer worship and circumambulate the hill, leading their cows all around. According to the instruction of Lord Krishna, Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men called in learned Brahmins and began to worship Govardhan Hill by chanting Vedic hymns and offering prasadam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan assembled together, decorated their cows and gave them grass. Keeping the cows in front, they began to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. The gopis also dressed themselves very luxuriantly and sat in bull-driven carts, chanting the glories of Krishna's pastimes. Assembled there to act as priests for Govardhan Puja, the Brahmins offered their blessings to the cowherd men, their wives, and the gopis. Is that true?
Yep. When everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he was himself Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna himself are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in the temples. Devotees therefore collect small rocks or pebbles from Govardhan Hill and worship them at home, because this worship is as good as deity worship. The form of Krishna who began to eat the offerings was separately constituted, and Krishna himself, along with the inhabitants of Vrindavan, began to offer obeisances to the deity as well as Govardhan Hill. Krishna himself offered obeisances to Govardhan Hill. Okay. In offering obeisances to the huge form of Krishna himself and Govardhan Hill, Krishna declared, just see how Govardhan Hill has assumed this huge form and is favoring us by accepting all the offerings. Krishna also declared at that meeting, one who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja, as I am personally conducting it, will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by these snakes and killed. In order to assure the good fortune of the cows and themselves, all people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as prescribed by me. Thus, performing the Govardhan Puja sacrifice, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan follow the instructions of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and afterwards they return to their respective homes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 24th chapter of Krishna worshipping Govardhan Hill. And I hope that by reading this pastime, it's the equivalent to worshipping Govardhan Hill. So here we go. the devastating rainfall in Vrindavan, Krishna Chandra, chapter 25.
Thank you, Prabhu. When Indra understood that the sacrifice offered by the cowherd men in Vrindavan was stopped by Krishna, he became angry, and he vented his anger upon the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who were headed by Nanda Maharaj. Although Indra knew perfectly well that Krishna was personally protecting them. As the director of different kinds of clouds, Indra called for the Samvartaka. This cloud is invited when there is a need to devastate the whole cosmic manifestation. The Samvartaka was ordered by Indra to go over Vrindavan and inundate the whole area with an extensive flood. Demonically, Indra thought himself to be the all-powerful Supreme Personality. When demons become very powerful, they defy the Supreme Controller, Personality of Godhead. Indra, though not a demon, was puffed up by his material position, and he wanted to challenge the Supreme Controller. He thought himself, at least for the time being, as powerful as Krishna. Indra said, "Just see the impudence of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They are simply inhabitants of the forest, but being infatuated with their friend Krishna, who is nothing but, please scroll for me, who is nothing but an ordinary human being. They have dared to defy the demigods. Krishna has declared in the Bhagavad Gita that the worshippers of the demigods are not very intelligent. But he has also declared that one has to give up all kinds of worship and simply concentrate on Krishna consciousness. Krishna's invoking the anger of Indra and later on chastising him is a clear indication to his devotee that those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness have no need to worship any demigod, even if it is found that the demigod has become angry. Krishna gives his devotees all protection, and they should completely depend on his mercy.
Hari, Avatrini?
Okay.
Oh, before, this is a CD.
If you see it,
Can you see it?
Oh, 1 second. Yes,
Okay, this was made by
can you
Nari
see it's got
Hari's
a reflection?
first wife in 1979.
oh, what was her name?
Aha.
Ahadasi.
And Achutananda is the narrator on
Oh, really?
here.
He
Yeah.
plays some of the roles. Narayan, another. Bhavatarini too.
And
She's in
Nuri
it
Hari's on it.
a little bit.
Yeah. So,
That's
King of the
19-
demigods, Lord Indradev ki.
1979.
That was my
Yes.
part. Yeah.
yes.
Okay, it'd be nice to hear it sometime. Thank you.
That's
Did
one
you
of the
put it
parts.
online anywhere? Is it online anyplace?
I don't think so.
No, we don't upload it. We get a lot of material to
Yeah.
work with. So,
Okay. It's whose turn is it now?
Nuri Hari.
Okay.
Indra cursed the action of the inhabitants of Vrindavan and said, by defying the authority of the demigods, the inhabitants of Vrindavan will suffer in material existence. Having neglected the sacrifice to the demigods, they cannot cross over the impediments of the ocean of material miseries. Indra further declared, these coward men in Vrindavan have neglected my authority on the advice of this talkative boy who is known as Krishna. He's nothing but a child, and by believing this child, they have enraged me. That's the order of the Samvartaka cloud to go and destroy the prosperity of Vrindavan. The men of Vrindavan, said Indra, have become too puffed up over their material opulence and their confidence in the presence of their tiny friend, Krishna. He's simply talkative, childish, and unaware of the complete cosmic situation, although he's thinking himself very advanced in knowledge. Because they have taken Krishna so seriously, they must be punished. And so I have ordered the Samvartaka cloud to go there and inundate the place. They should be destroyed with their cows. Will I read another one?
Yeah.
It is indicated here that in the villages outside the towns, the inhabitants must depend on the cows for their prosperity. When the cows are destroyed, the people are destitute of all kinds of opulences. When King Indra ordered the Samvartaka and companion clouds to go to Vrindavan, the clouds were afraid of the assignment. But King Indra assured them, "You go ahead, and I will also go, riding on my elephant, accompanied by great storms, and I shall apply all my strength to punish the inhabitants of Vrindavan."
Boy, did he really lost the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a tropical storm. Any of you? But they're scary enough. Now we can't even comprehend, imagine what Samvartaka and Indra coming personally with all these storms and devastation.
I drove to the, sorry, I'll let you finish.
No,
Excuse
no.
me.
Yeah, the one drop was as big as the elephant's trunk.
Really? One drop?
One
Wow.
drop of rain.
Wow. The biggest storm I've been in is I drove from here, north of Toronto, 22 hours to the furthest tip of mainland Canada, which is Sydney, Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Island, it's called. And there's a saying there amongst the locals: if you don't like the weather when you go in the front door, just walk out the back door. Because the weather is that unpredictable. So when I was leaving from there, I was trying to get in my car, and the wind was so ferocious off the Atlantic Ocean. I had to like pry with both hands to open it. And finally, when I was about to get in the car, the door almost smashed my head in the doorway.
Wow.
It was ferocious. So I have a little idea of what that could be like. It freaked me out. Never had that experience.
We tend to forget, don't we? No matter where we are. I mean, like, well, it could be Vancouver, it could be California. I mean, we tend to forget, or any place in the world, that material nature is so powerful.
Padam padam yad vipadam natesham.
Yeah, there's so much danger here.
Okay, so on this note, let's see. Although I want to keep reading, I'm also eager to look at, well, okay, I guess we're not at that point yet. Okay, we're just at the point of Indra attacking, right?
Right.
Well, so that's one of the early paintings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Wait.
beautiful.
No daughter, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Maybe it's one of Jadharani's, I don't know.
I don't think so.
No,
That's really great. Oh, that's back to Godhead. Is that where you got it?
yeah, back to Godhead. And there's also, how can I find the others here? Okay, here's an early one too. I think this is from the second canto, if I'm not mistaken. Rihari and Bhavatrini would know better than me. Bring this up here.
Yeah.
What do you think? That's not Krishna book, that's second canto, isn't it? Or maybe it is Krishna book.
No, it's not Krishna book. No.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I think it's in the second canto, I think.
Yes, I think you're right.
Mhm.
And Sora recognized the artist with Nanda Baba, and the cows, the type, everybody has a style.
Right, and I also, there's the Govardhana itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that's Govardhana. Oh.
That's Vraj Mandala Parikram.
Yes, so that's Govardhana.
I went on it one time in 1980, I think, or 79 or 70, very early. And I met Krishnadas Babaji on the road, and I went to ask him a question, and he just went, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
He usually didn't speak.
He said Hare Krishna laughing. Yeah. There's a
So
tradition.
that photo that you showed is the part of the road is to the right. There's a road, a paved road. And
Yeah.
at one point, nicely enough, the dirt path goes towards Govardhan. You can still see Govardhan from the highway, but that path is wonderful. It's like it's as it is, it's like a dirt road. So I remember that. But it goes for a few miles towards the end of Govardhan, the other end of Govardhan.
That's more recent.
That's Streety.
That's Driti. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. See, here's my
Yeah,
and the faces.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful.
Oops.
That's cool.
And that's afterwards when Indra comes to offer his prayers to Krishna for being offensive. Okay, we'll get back to the reading here. Whose turn?
I think mine.
Okay.
Yes.
Ordered by,
Did you finish this part or not? Is this a new new?
oh, Nuri did 2 chapters. Two.
Okay.
Paragraphs.
Ordered by King Indra, all the dangerous clouds appeared above Vrindavan and began to pour water incessantly with all their strength and power. There was constant lightning and thunder, blowing of severe wind and incessant falling of rain. The rainfall seemed to fall like piercing sharp arrows, pouring water as thick as pillars without cessation. The clouds gradually filled all the lands in Vrindavan with water, and there was no visible distinction between higher and lower land. The situation was very dangerous, especially for the animals. The rainfall was accompanied by great winds, and every living creature in Vrindavan began to tremble from the severe cold. Unable to find any other source of deliverance, they all approached Govinda to take shelter at his lotus feet. The cows, especially, being very much aggrieved from the heavy rain, bowed down their heads and taking their calves underneath their bodies, they approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take shelter of his lotus feet. At that time, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan began to pray to Lord Krishna. Dear Krishna, they prayed, you are all powerful and you are very affectionate to your devotees. Now please protect us who have been much harassed by angry Indra. Upon hearing their prayer, Krishna could also understand that Indra, being bereft of his sacrificial honor, was pouring down rain that was accompanied by heavy pieces of ice and strong winds, although all this was out of season. Krishna understood that this was a deliberate exhibition of anger by Indra. He therefore concluded, this demigod who thinks himself supreme has shown his great power, but I shall answer him according to my position, and I shall teach him that he is not autonomous in managing universal affairs. I am the supreme Lord over all, and I shall thus take away his false prestige, which has risen from his power. The demigods are my devotees, and therefore it is not possible for them to forget my supremacy. But somehow or other, he has become so puffed up with material power, and thus is now maddened. I shall act in such a way to relieve him of this false prestige. I shall give my protection to the pure devotees in Vrindavan who are at present completely at my mercy and whom I have taken completely under my protection. I will save them by my mystic power.
Thinking in this way, Lord Krishna immediately picked up Govardhan Hill with one hand, exactly as a child picks up a mushroom from the ground. Thus he exhibited his transcendental pastime of lifting Govardhan Hill. Lord Krishna then began to address his devotees. My dear brothers, my dear father, my dear inhabitants of Vrindavan, you can now safely enter under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill, which I have just lifted. Do not be afraid of the hill and think that it will fall from my hand. You have been too much afflicted from the heavy rain and strong wind. Therefore, I have lifted this hill, which will protect you exactly like a huge umbrella. I think this is a proper arrangement to relieve you from your immediate distress. Be happy along with your animals underneath this great umbrella. Being assured by Lord Krishna, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan entered beneath the great hill and appeared to be safe along with their property and animals. Was that 2 paragraphs? No, it was 1. The inhabitants of Vrindavan and their animals remained there for 1 week without being disturbed by hunger, thirst, or any other discomforts. They were simply astonished to see how Krishna was holding up the mountain with the little finger of his left hand. Seeing the extraordinary mystic power of Krishna, Indra, the king of heaven, was thunderstruck and baffled in his determination. He immediately called for all the clouds and asked them to desist. Then the sky became completely cleared of all clouds, and there was sunrise again. The strong wind stopped. At that time, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known now as the lifter of Govardhan Hill, said, My dear cowherd men, now you can leave and take your wives, children, cows, and valuables, because everything is ended. The inundation has gone down, along with the swelling waters of the river. Krishna Chandra.
All the men loaded their valuables on carts and slowly left with their cows and other paraphernalia. After they had cleared out everything, Lord Krishna very slowly replaced Govardhan Hill exactly in the same position as it had been before. When everything was done, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan approached Krishna and embraced him with great ecstasy. The gopis, being naturally very affectionate to Krishna, began to offer him curd mixed with their tears, and they poured incessant blessings upon him. Mother Yashoda, Mother Rohini, Nanda, and Balaram, who is the strongest of the strong, embraced Krishna one after another, and from spontaneous feelings of affection, blessed him over and over again. In the heavens, different demigods from different planetary systems, such as Siddhaloka, Gandharvaloka, and Charanaloka, also began to show their complete satisfaction. They poured showers of flowers on the surface of the earth and sounded different conch shells. There was beating of drums, and being inspired by godly feelings, residents of Gandharvaloka began to play on their tampuras to please the Lord. After this incident, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrounded by his dear friends and animals, returned to his home. As usual, the gopis began to chant the glorious pastimes of Lord Krishna with great feeling, for they were chanting from the heart. Please, one more paragraph. Thank you. Oh, thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 25th chapter of Krishna, devastating rainfall in Vrindavan.
Jai Giri Govardhan Ki Jai.
Jai.
So that pastime continues. Should we say wonderful Krishna? And I guess it's the prayers of, is it the prayers of Indra in this chapter? No, it's not.
I'm not sure.
And then it's the chapter after that is prayers by Indra, the king of heaven. This is a pretty short chapter. Should we read it or should we save this till Monday? Your call.
I'm open to either one. I'm happy to take part in reading it, especially if it's short.
Yeah, it's up to you.
And it talks
for you,
about,
Esther.
How do you-
talks about the lifting of Govardhan.
Yeah.
So it's pretty important.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn, Nuhari Bavatrini,
Wonderful Krishna.
chapter 20.
Chapter 26. Without understanding the intricacies of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and without knowing his uncommon spiritual opulences, the innocent cowherd boys and men of Vrindavan began to discuss the wonderful activities of Krishna, which surpass the activities of all men. One of them said, "My dear friends, considering his wonderful activities, how is it possible that such an uncommon boy would come and live with us in Vrindavan? It is really not possible. Just imagine, he's now only 7 years old. How was it possible for him to lift Govardhana hill in one hand and hold it up, just like the king of elephants holds a lotus flower? To lift a lotus flower is almost insignificant thing for an elephant. And similarly, Krishna lifted Govardhana hill without exertion. When he was simply a small baby and could not even see properly, he killed a great demon, Putana, while sucking her breast. He also sucked out her life air. Krishna killed the Putana demon exactly as eternal time kills a living creature in due course. When he was only 3 months old, he was sleeping underneath a hand-driven cart. Being hungry for his mother's breast, he began to cry and throw his legs upwards. And from the kicking of his small feet, the cart immediately broke apart and fell to pieces. When he was only 1 year old, he was carried away by Trinivarta demon, disguised as a whirlwind. Although he was taken very high in the sky, he simply hung on the neck of the demon and forced him to fall from the sky and immediately die. Once his mother, being disturbed by his stealing butter, tied into a wooden mortar, and the child pushed it towards a pair of trees known as Yamal Arjuna and caused them to fall. Once, when he was engaged in tending the cows in the forest, along with his elder brother, Balaram, a demon named Bakasura appeared, and Krishna at once bifurcated the demon's beaks. When the demon known as Vatsasura entered among the calves tended by Krishna, with a desire to kill him, he immediately detected the demon, killed him, and threw him into a tree. When Krishna, along with his brother Balaram, entered the Taliban forest, the demon known as the Dhenukasura, in the shape of an ass, attacked them and was immediately killed by Balaram, who caught his hind legs and threw him in the palm tree. Although the Dhenukasura demon was assisted by his cohorts, also in the shape of asses, all were killed, and the Taliban forest was then open for the use of the animals and inhabitants of Vrindavan. When Pralambasura entered amongst his cowherd boyfriends, he caused his death by Balaram. Thereafter, Krishna saved his friends and cows from the severe forest fire, and he chastised the Kaliya serpent in the lake of Jamuna and forced him to leave the vicinity of the Jamuna river. He thereby made the water of the Jamuna poisonless.
Another one of the friends of Nanda Maharaj said, "My dear Nanda, we do not know why we are so attracted to your son Krishna. We want to forget him, but this is impossible. Why are we so naturally affectionate toward him? Just imagine how wonderful it is. On one hand, he's only a boy of 7 years old, and on the other hand, there's a huge hill like Govardhana, and he lifted it so easily. Oh, Nanda Maharaj, we are now in great doubt. Your son Krishna must be one of the demigods. He is not at all an ordinary boy. Maybe he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead." On hearing the praises of the cowherd men in Vrindavan, King Nanda said, "My dear friends, in reply to you, I can simply present the statement of Gargamuni so that your doubts may be cleared. When he came to perform the name-giving ceremony, he said that this boy descends in different periods of time, in different colors, and that this time he has appeared in Vrindavan in a dark color and is known as Krishna. Previously, he has a white color, then red color, then yellow color. He also said that this boy was once the son of Vasudeva, and everyone who knows of his previous birth calls him Vasudeva. Actually, He said that my son has many varieties of names according to his different qualities and activities. Gargacharya assured me that this boy will be all auspicious for my family and that he will be able to give transcendental blissful pleasure to all the cowherd men and cows in Vrindavan. Even though we will be put into various kinds of difficulties, by the grace of this boy, we will be very easily freed up from them. He also said that formerly this boy saved the world from an unregulated condition, and he saved all honest men from the hands of the dishonest. He also said that any fortunate man who becomes attached to this boy Krishna is never vanquished or defeated by his enemy. On the whole, he is exactly like Lord Vishnu, who always takes the side of the demigods, who are constantly never defeated by the demons. Gargacharya thus concluded that my child would grow to be exactly like Vishnu in transcendental beauty, qualifications, activities, influence, and opulence. And so we should not be very astonished by his wonderful activities. After telling me this, Gargacharya returned home. And since then, we've been continually seeing the wonderful activities of this child. According to the version of Gargacharya, I consider that he must be Narayan himself, or maybe a plenary portion of Narayan.
When all the coward men were very attentively heard the statements of Gargacharya through Maharaj, they better appreciated the wonderful activities of Krishna and became very jubilant and satisfied. They began to praise Nanda Maharaj because by consulting him, their doubts about Krishna were cleared. They said, quote, "Let Krishna, who is so kind, beautiful, and merciful, protect us." When angry Indra sent torrents of rain accompanied by showers of ice blocks and a high wind, he immediately took compassion upon us and saved us and our families, cows, and valuable possessions by picking up the Govardhana hill. Just as a child picks up a mushroom, he saved us so wonderfully. May he continue to mercifully glance over us and our cows. May we live peacefully under the protection of wonderful Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 26th chapter of Krishna, wonderful Krishna. And then that will take us to prayers by Indra, the king of heaven. And that brings to my mind a question that I asked Tridandi Maharaj. We were having, we were reading. And I brought up that question about, Yoga Maya. Can anyone remember the actual question? It seemed to ebb and flow. Krishna's sometimes using his Yoga Maya pose. Sometimes the residents of Vrindavan were thinking that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And other times they didn't think that he was. Do you remember that?
Always, yeah. I don't remember exactly. It was one of the Zoom classes we had together with you, or
right? Yeah.
I can't remember exactly specifically what he said, but I know that Yoga Maya is always there to make sure even Krishna doesn't.
Yeah, because I remember I said, I'll ask Tridandi Maharaj and see what he has to say about it, and everyone said, okay, good idea. So I said, I told the devotees that you could not make it, but you're interested, but you're up for interesting questions. So here's one. We just finished reading about Krishna devouring the forest fire, and we noticed how the coward boys and Vrajavasis were referring to Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know that they see him as their pal, their Lala darling, yet here it seems Yoga Maya is at play, covering them over for a moment to refer to him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, Mother Yashoda was covered by Yoga Maya, seeing herself and the universe within Krishna's mouth, but Yoga Maya covered her over to not think about that. Similarly, when Krishna was lifting Govardhana hill, the Vrajavasis thought that they were actually lifting Govardhana hill with their sticks because of Yoga Maya. That's not really brought up here. Maybe that must be coming from one of your other shastras, because here they're thinking Krishna must be the Supreme Personality of God because he's doing it. So I said,
sorry, go ahead.
So does Yoga Maya ebb and flow, coming in coming in to do her thing from time to time like this in order to preserve the rasa of intimacy, yet allow them to see Krishna in a more formal way at certain times of danger, for instance. Thanks for your consideration, Maharaj. And he wrote back, absolutely, word perfect. What you've written, Prabhu. Yes, Yogamaya flows and ebbs according to the necessity, as you say, to preserve intimacy. Nevertheless, we should always know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, that tattva can never falter at any time. Yes, everything is managed only to increase Krishna's bliss, and that of his associates.
Gora.
Okay, that's something else. Okay, so I looked up something interesting here. I've never sung this before. I've never heard anybody sing it before, but I have with me here. I hope I can find my glasses. Oh, here they are. This was written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it's called the Govardhana Astakam. Have you ever heard of it?
No, the one from Raghunath Das, yes.
No, by Vishwanath Chakravarti.
Yeah. Just say no. And
Oh, you mean
That
he
one
wrote?
I don't-
He wrote one too, Raghunath Das Goswami.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you like to hear the one? I'm not going to sing it. There's Sanskrit, but I'm going to skip the Sanskrit and just stick to the English. Is that all right?
Okay.
As you wish.
Yeah. Text 1. Govardhanastakam. May Govardhan heal, which by Krishna's mercy became the king of all mountains and received the respectful tribute of its arch enemy Indra, fulfill my desire. Well, that sounds kind of strange to me because we're not supposed to ask Krishna to fulfill our desire, are we?
It's
Depends what your desire is. Depends
Yeah,
what
depends. So, is that, people go to Govardhan to ask, and he gives everything. He will give people what they want.
So tonight's a good night to pray for pure devotional service.
Wow.
Or even higher. I mean, we can pray actually for Radha Dasyan. It's rare to find Radha Dasyan be a Paliya Dasi of Radhe. Is something Govardhan will look. If we ask for pure devotion too, he will look at us. And if we're not qualified, he will make us qualified. That's just quoting Sri Narayana Maharaj, who was saying that be careful what you ask, or to think about what you ask. And of course, as the devotees advance, their desires, they will be fulfilled. The spiritual desires will be fulfilled, but the material ones too. So if we go to Govardhan and we start thinking, oh man, I like to have a better transportation, I need clothes,
Right.
or a good wife, or like that, he will give. People know that, and there's so many people who come there, and they have been successfully awarded what they desire. But to desire pure devotion, that's and actually higher than that is service to Radha. That's Paliya.
Thank you for reminding me that there's actually, but I'm trying to understand what's higher than pure devotional service to become a servant of Srimati Radharani. I mean, I'm afraid to ask you because you're so full of wisdom. You could go on for probably an hour.
Yeah, it'll take a long time, and I'm not totally, like that. But if you study Prem, pure devotion, and Srimad Bhagavatam, we have all the pure devotees, but there's gradations. Srimad Bhagavatam is a gradation.
Okay.
You start Dhruva, and then you go, you have the Pandavas, Hanuman, Dhruva, and like that, you go on and on. As you go on, there is less and less awe and reverence.
I see.
It's all Prem. So they're all pure devotees. So you can't say, Prahlad Maharaj is not a pure devotee. No. I mean, it's like, he's a pure devotee. But in questions of Ras, of that intimacy, I mean,
Right.
Chaitanya came to give Madhurya Ras, Anarpitam Charim Chirat, Karunavatirtha Kalau. So that's in the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Right.
No, the first verse of the fourth chapter.
Right.
But it's a quotation from Rupa Goswami's.
I get it.
play.
Yeah, it's like the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, various gradations. Yeah.
Right. So why is it that prayer says, and basically is that he came to give us his own swabhakti, Sriyam, the resplendent swabhakti, his own bhakti. He came to taste. Krishna came to taste Radharani's Madanakya Mahabhav. But to the regular, to other living entities, he's given the gift unheard of. I mean, this is a rare Kali Yuga, because he came to give the highest gift, is the attainment of the highest possibility and conjugal love. He expressed as a manjari bhav, or the feelings of the manjaris. Now the manjaris get to taste actually what Radharani tastes and Krishna, like Rupa Manjari, and then they're allowed to come into very intimate places. But even if they don't, they just, whatever happens to Radhe, her emotions are transmitted to the manjaris. So it's a very, very high position, very high position.
The second verse is, as it was held above the earth, it became so filled with happiness by experiencing the softness of its beloved Krishna's lotus hand. It did not even know it was being struck by Indra's thunderbolt. May Govardhana Hill fulfill my desire. And the third one, I'm just kind of wondering what the tune is here. Yatraiva Krishna Vrishabhanu Putriya Danam Grihitum Kalaham Pitene Shrute Spriha Yatra Mahatyata Shri Govardhano Me Dishatam Abhishtam. That it always repeats that line.
Yeah.
The third one is trying to collect a toll. Krishna quarreled there with King Vrishabhanu's daughter. The personified Vedas yearn to listen to that quarrel. May Govardhana Hill fulfill my desire. Do you know what that quarrel was specifically, Hari Prabhu?
No, the instance that I remember only is that also another, the quarrel happens, is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I don't know if you remember the Krishna, then they take in bath in the Jamuna. And at one point there is an argument. So sometimes they are for no reason, but the specific of the argument, you don't know, because even the gopis that they're witnessing, they go to where the patch of lotuses are, and they only stick their faces out. They look like lotuses themselves, while the divine couple are having their, so-called their argument.
That reminds me of the time when when Srila Prabhupada was staying at John Lennon's estate, and John Lennon asked Prabhupada to come and listen to his new single, Cold Turkey Has Got Me on the Run. So Prabhupada went in with his little cassette player and John Lennon had this like state-of-the-art Ampex or Ampeg tape recorder.
Ampeg.
Yeah, like really expensive one. And he was like getting really frustrated because he couldn't get it to work, and he was trying everything. And finally Prabhupada said, well, I've also recorded a song on the little cassette player, Hare Krishna Bhajan. And so John said, okay. So Prabhupada played it for him. And then when Prabhupada left the house, the devotees were hiding in the bushes and they were listening. Prabhupada pulled, I'm not sure if it was Dhananjaya, I think it might have been him, pulled this shika and said, you were listening, weren't you? Sorry, I just,
they're like that devotees, they're like kinkaris, the manjaris in many, in the painting by Jalarani Shamarani's Seva Kunj, Narayan Maharaj told her, paint many little faces.
They're five.
They're what?
5 faces.
There's
in the woods.
Five faces in the woods.
What's a kinkari? What's a kinkari?
The kinkari is the 12-and-a-half-year-old. It's described is the assistant to the manjaris. They're manjaris. They're considered gopis, but specifically Kinkar. Kinkar means what can I, they're fired up, like we used to say. What
Very
can I do?
enthusiastic. Uh-huh.
What can I do next? What's next? We actually literally means what's next? What can I do next?
Nice.
Like that. So they're like, whereas the Sakis are the buddies of their friends.
Right.
So there's a different relationship there.
Yeah.
But then the little kinkaris, they go in and out of the very intimate pastimes or the kunjas. They're allowed to. They're very young.
Kind of like the
They're allowed
backup
to.
team, sort of the backup team.
So they're 24/7 busy, really busy. We have a go brother said, "Oh, manjaris don't do anything." Wow, no, they're the most busiest that you can think of. And they say, "Oh, they're not the most elevated." Well, it depends how order you think. I mean, of course, they're, if you think of the Ashta, gopis, the most Ashtasakis, yeah, I mean, because they went up to Lalita and then Lalita will come Radhe. And that's one way to see it. But in questions of feeling these emotions, they're like, so power, that's the gift given. And that's what Lord Chaitanya came to offer. That's Govardhana. That's where our acharyas came. Bhaktisiddhanta lamented sometimes that he came here to cut jungles, like Prabhupada, our Prabhupada.
Yeah.
The jungles of impersonalism and Buddhism, they were so prominent. And you can see even in our first disciples, Achutananda Maharaj would say, Achutananda Prabhu, that he was an impersonalist. In his house, so he entered all these conceptions. That's all we had of the divinity, really, when we went, when the youth, our generation, looked towards the east. That's how we really, it was predominant. So it seems that Prabhupada, and some said, oh, no, they even accused Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati of not being in Madhurya Ras, which was an offense. Actually, it's not. And if you really read all Bhaktisiddhanta and Saraswati Thakur, there's very Rashik Babu passages, very much pointing to that, because all the Vaishnavas know what is the Gauravani, what is this Vani, this instruction, what is the highest instruction. If it was for just to give the Maha Mantra to the masses, which is very valuable and important, Advaita Chandra could have done it.
Okay, interesting.
Any of the Yuga avatar could do it. But now Krishna himself is present, so all of the avatars are present. Everybody's present. I called Sridhar Maharaj, we were talking to him and said, oh, what are you reading, Maharaj? And he said, I just started, I'm reading, Krishna is calling everybody to come. He's coming, so he's calling all his incarnations, all the demigods, and including all the living entities. The jivas are also are called by Krishna to come when he appears. Isn't that interesting? That's in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Number 4, the 4th verse is bathing in a nearby lake, the elephant of a pleasant breeze, covered with pollen of kadamba and other flowers, gradually plays there. Govardhano me dishatam abishtam, may Govardhan hill fulfill my desire. Number 5. Does does the sweet fragrance of Govardhan come from the musk deer who relax there, from the Lord who plays there, or is it Govardhan's own natural scent? May Govardhan hill fulfill my desire. That reminds me, I remember when those newsletters were coming to us in 1977 from Rameshwar through the BBT and Mahindra. I remember reading that the Ayurvedic Vaidya, he recommended musk to be given to Prabhupada. Some musk was brought to him as a kind of medicine. That just popped into my head. Number 6, searching there for Lord Hari on the path of his flute music, the astonished deer do not find him. May Govardhan hill fulfill my desire. I just visited. I was just in the nearby. Oh, who's that? That's Rita. I'm sorry, I can't accept Rita right now. Rita's written a new book. I said I was telling him that, he was reminding me that I was asking everyone who joined the Srila Prabhupada disciples group. I would tell them, please write your story. And he took it to heart and he wrote a whole book about his experience with Prabhupada and Pushta Krishna and Ganapati Swami and Tripurari Swami, his whole devotional life. It's a new book he's going to come out with. And he said if I hadn't encouraged him, he wouldn't have written it. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was just thinking what you just said about Prabhupada and Musk. And I
Yeah.
said, that's probably going to irk the vegan devotees.
Oh yeah, crazy.
Another animal product.
Yeah.
Musk comes from the deer.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah. But if it's for Prabhupada's well-being, what is it? That deer makes
Of course. But I'm just saying, I was like, joking. I was just like,
No, I get it.
These devotees, what is like rejecting our culture. That's like really.
Listen, in 1965, 66, when Prabhupada came, obviously he was using commercial dairy when yes, he expected us to get these farms together, which to a large extent we failed to do yet. But it's not the proper, but like I've been a little facetious and I'd say, so do you think because it's not a Hingsa milk, Prabhupada would tell us you should replace rasgullas with peanut butter balls and sandesh with coconut flakes, or
What are you going to offer Thakurji?
Uh-huh.
What are you going to offer him? What about the white offering? We got to do like 5 offerings a day, mostly milk product. Well, how are we going to offer Gila? The Pujari in Laguna Beach was squeezing sesame seeds to get oil for lamp, to offer the Lord instead of ghee lamps.
Oh, that's crazy.
So is that taking a little? But Prabhupada was very aware of that. They brought that point, and in the festival, Prabhupada's festival, they brought that point to Prabhupada, saying, no, we have to have milk.
And if anybody could be fanatical about ahimsa dairy, it's you, because that's what you have. But still, you're not judging the devotees.
We try, and that was our goal, to inspire people to create many dairies, and it was a great opportunity here in Hawaii, because all the dairies were closed pretty much. There was only one
Right.
left, so all the milk is imported. So I imagine in the case of merchant, of course, now everybody's like, people are also aware, so they're starting to grow their own food, and in 1 week, Vatrini, we signed contracts with different people around the state that would promise, and they promise to to have cows and treat them in a very good manner, and not to ever kill them or separate them from their calves and like that. So it has snowballed somehow to where in 1 week 37 cows were allocated by Trini. I arranged all the transport and like that with her too. And
because you couldn't maintain all those cows.
No, because the old dairy that closed, we rescued 40 from the.
I see. They're all rescue cows.
First time.
No.
From the dairy, the same dairy.
This was just recently.
Recently, these cows were through a worker there that works for us. It's not supposed to say, but anyhow, he's helping us. He works for they closed dairy. So they had 200. How many cows left?
They only had 37 cows left, and they were going to send them over.
So they said, we have 37 cows left. Would you be interested in saving them, rescuing them? Otherwise, we're going to sell them to the slaughterhouse.
Oh, God.
That's what happened before with that about 2 years ago. So we said, give us like a week time or two, whatever.
I see. You found homes for them. Okay.
So we found homes. People even paid, for the transport. There is this man in Maui. He owns a green company. He paid $5,000 to transport the cows. 4 cows. $5,000 just transport. Plus the cost of getting them because we were buying them from the dairy,
Yeah.
and the transport, which is pretty expensive, from where they were to the airport and like that. So yeah, we met some pretty interesting people.
Some
Some
people do
real-
cat. Some people do cat rescue. Others do dog rescue. You do cow rescue.
yeah, but we're like trying that. But and going back to about Prabhupada and what he did, and we know what he wanted. He wanted us to.
Today's cow worship.
And today is very important. It's cow worship. It's go puja.
Go puja.
So
What's the
today
difference between go puja and go Gostashtami?
Gostashtami, well, it's the same thing. It's a celebration. It's the day of the cow. It's the day of the cow. So all the acharyas, everybody, including, there was one particular one, Jiva Janardhan Goswami Maharaj, Jiva Janardhan Goswami Maharaj, disciple of sannyasi, disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He was very humble. He said, I'll have a little ashram and I'll name it after Saraswati Thakur. So his mission at Saraswati is a little different than the Gaudiya Saraswati Mat name, but it's Saraswati. Anyhow, he got cows. And the model of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when we went to Calcutta to one of his first temples, it was amazing. It was a self-contained unit.
Bagh Bazaar?
No, this one was the second one or so, very old temple, still functioning. And Sant Goswami Maharaj at that time was the last living disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He was over 100 years old.
Wow.
And we went to see him with Bhatrini. And we went to the temple in this mission. I forget, do you remember the name exactly of the mission? It's in Calcutta, right in the middle of the city. And you have printing press, you have the meeting hall where preaching is done and the new people come and gather. That's Kirtan hall too. Then there is the mandapa, the little platform before a separate building of the deities are, the proper housing of the deities are. And in back, there was a goshal. Even if it was 2 or 3 cows, they always keep. So that was the model.
Last time I was in India 2 years ago, just as the whole crazy scamdemic was coming down, I managed to visit Radha Damodar temple. And for the first time, I saw that they have a Goshala there. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they all do. They all do. And of course, ISKCON had to have one, so we do. We got a real nice Goshala, ISKCON and Vrindavan. It's like, it's pretty amazing.
But our godbrother Prem Kishore Prabhu told me he was in charge of it, and he was saving up the rupees to get land because they had 250 cows, and it was just like more cows than they had land for. And he said once upon a time you could still buy the land, but
it's so expensive now.
Gopal Krishna Maharaj, with all due respect to him, he sent in, this is according to Prem Kishore's story, he sent in his disciple Devaki Nandan, who took over the Goshala, and that money went for some other project. So Prem Kishore just bailed and he started his own little Goshala. He has got big, I don't know what they call those cows, they're gigantic cows, white ones.
Oh, yes, we saw them.
I went to Ganga and Jamuna.
I should go because I've got to cook some things.
Okay, I just got 2 more verses in English. I'll read really, really quickly.
One little story. Okay, I'll read those 2 verses, but I wanted to tell you something that I just heard.
Okay, I'll read it really quickly. Verse 7. As the divine couple traveled on the Ganges there, the boat began to sink in the middle. Krishna was splendidly handsome as Radha clung to his neck. May Govardhana hill fulfill my desire. Verse number 8, without taking shelter of the feet of the hill, that is the best of Lord Hari's servants and full of love for the divine king and queen. How is it possible to attain pure devotional service? May Govardhana hill fulfill my desire. And the last verse, may the reader of these 8 verses, glorifying Lord Hari's greatest servant, his heart melting with pure love, quickly attain direct service to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Madhava, Shri Shri Giri Govardhana ki jai.
Jai, Haribol.
So
Oh.
did you need to, because you were
I
finishing.
need,
Go
you
ahead.
wanted to say something. I just
Okay.
saying I need to go because we have to do artik to the cows and then we have to make a Govardhana.
Yeah. I'm so grateful I could
Ambulator.
do this Govardhan Puja with you, at least the reading.
Yes,
with
this
all of
was
you.
our main
Yeah, thank you,
thing
Prabhu.
today,
This is
having
wonderful.
this reading with
We got
Yeah.
all of
Oh,
you.
very
association
great.
of you.
This is
Million
our
times
main-
better to do it with devotees than just on your own, at least for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of
Yes,
course.
no, this was the
And-
main feature, the main starring part of our day.
I don't even remember reading this much when you're in a temple with 200, 300, 400 devotees, because it's like, okay, we got to get on to the Abhishek, we got to do this, we got to do that.
Oh, we're real busy.
Reading isn't always a priority in the temples, right? Not always.
For those, like,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm
so anyhow,
excited about it.
we have a very friend. I mean, we came very close to Narayana Maharaj, so the circle of assistants and people who were organizers of all. Imagine organizing festivals of 20, 30,000 people.
Wow.
At the time, and prasadam for all and everything.
Wow.
And so Narayana Maharaj says, hang your bead bag. Hang your bead bag.
Hang up your bead
hang up
bag
your
during
bead
the
bag.
festival if you were
So-
involved.
Yeah.
So there'll be Harikatha, and it's also service and all that. And so it's Govardhan. Govardhan is the celebration. We honor the cows, we honor the Brahmins, and the pure devotees. So that's it's really amazing that he gives us. He's so merciful, Govardhan, that he's the highest devotee, Radharani, and the gopis gave him the title of Haridas Varja, the highest, one of the highest devotees of Hari. And so he's, Govinda Maharaj said that we should worship him as Das, like that. But there are three there. So we worship him as Das. He's like, following, of course, is Govardhan. And then we worship the cows. And I thought of remembering Prabhupada by reading him is the Go, the Brahmana. And so I had two little stories. One, I asked Sruti Kirti, I asked him 3 times because I wanted this to be, and it was filmed. I asked, did Srila Prabhupada ever stop drinking milk at night? No, never. What did Prabhupada do when you travel with him at night? He drank milk. So you say that Prabhupada would never stop drinking milk, even in the West, even though this cow, whatever, here, because at that time was a raging, debate. This was like 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, Prabhupada's festival. And it was peaking, like devotees were like,
No, we had one godbrother would come into our disciple group and he'd say, I hope nobody around here is drinking blood milk. And I'm like, why are you speaking like this?
Very offensive. It's just so sad. Anyhow, we know what Prabhupada wanted. I mean, he said, finally you should get your cows, ideally is that. So to get the cows. So it's sadhu. What did the Goswamis drink? What was the last thing that the Raghunath Das? One of the last things he gave up. Actually, when they all disappeared, the Rupa and Sanatan disappeared, he gave up even drinking buttermilk. He would drink,
Gave up drinking and he gave up all food. And
then he gave up
water.
that milk. He went to water, and then he gave up water, and he just ate nothing. But that's Raghunath Das. He's the king of renunciation. There's no one like him.
He became a breatharian.
Yes.
A breatharian. I know. Every time we read something, it's funny how we like devotees. We take one thing and say, "Oh yeah, that fits me." And now we're fanatic about it. That's the highest food you can have is air. Okay, never mind. The highest food is prasadam. So
We better let Baba Tarini go and do her cooking.
I want to do my service.
Oh, so a little thing. We just heard this from the libraries, from the 32,000 shastras that are still to be translated. There are letters, exchanged letters, and there are historical documents where it shows that Rupa Goswami, with the last monies that he had when he came to Vrindavan, he purchased 500 cows. He kept 500 cows.
Wow.
And he was so famous, so respected, that the emperor from Delhi, he gave him use of whatever amount of land. He could take his cows, let them go everywhere in Vrindavan.
Wonderful.
So there was a golden time, that we don't know, but these documents now are starting to show up and being translated. Indradimna Swami has a fantastic 10-part.
Hari
lecture.
Prasad Prabhu. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not a book. It's an audio video.
No, Hari Prasad. He's doing the translating.
Oh yeah, Hari Prasad. Well, but what he was doing in this 10
Okay. You know
chapters.
what? I'm just
in
gonna.
this.
Yeah. We don't want to
Yeah,
stress
thank you,
out Baba
Mr.
Trini.
Go.
So
I-
yeah, I was just saying, if Rupa Goswami
Hare Krishna.
kept 500 cows,
Haribol.
I'll see you in a minute. If he kept 500 cows to feed the sadhus, what did imagine how important it is,
Yeah.
a cow for our culture, because we're Krishna conscious culture.
Yeah.
We're not a cult, although a cult took a bad term as a word. I mean, cult was fine, but
I was just thinking today before we came to this session of Govardhan Hill that the reason you and Baba Trini are such sweet devotees is because you hang out with cows all the time and it rubs off on you. It makes you mellow. And also in Ayurveda, it says that if you treat your cows with love, then that's the finest quality milk, because the cows will reciprocate with you and their contentedness will come through the milk. If you're loving the cows, then that's very, very calming to your vata if you get milk from loved cows.
yes, and if we had the possibility, like Vrindavan was there were 12 principal forests, but there was 138 sub forests. They're all mostly gone, chopped down.
You're saying you're saying within 12 forests there was 138 forests?
No, they were around the area of
Oh, outside,
Raj-
of course.
Raja, so all the way to, it takes you about 2 hours to get to from Vrindavan to Kamyavan, which is still Kamyavan is one of the forests, but it's the end, is one of the last forests,
Right.
where Vrinda Devi decided to stay.
Uh-huh.
There were 3 deities, and Govinda, because Rupa Goswami wrote a letter after he got really involved. After finding Govindaji, he named the deity Govinda, and there's another long story on that, because Vinda means meditation. So while he was in great separation from Lord Chaitanya, he sat under the tree and composed Chaitanya Ashtakam. And while he was doing that, and
Rupa Goswami? Rupa Goswami.
Yeah. This man came, this young coward man came, he says, Baba, for one of your cows, she always at noon, she empties her bag of milk every day at the same spot. You should go see what's going on there. And that's where he found his deities. But his deity of Govindaji was then named. So one, his meditation, Vinda, was broken by Go. So it's Govinda. So he thought about it and he named Govinda, because he was announced by the cows, his cows actually, one of his cows.
Huh.
Rupa Goswami's cows.
For the next session, could you practice up a little bit whatever you were composing about Govardhan Hill, the song that you did?
I had to we were traveling quite often to India
Okay,
twice
fine.
a day.
From
So
Monday.
I had to find the script, the notes I was
Okay.
taking like that. But I can play you some of the melody next time.
Thank you. And could you please ask Baba Trini to send me the lyrics to what she sang today?
Oh yes, Govardhana.
Or you could send it on behalf of her, yeah.
Sure, no problem.
The WhatsApp or Facebook, wherever you like.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Krishna
Jai
Chandra.
Govardhanji.
Hari
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Always thank you,
Happy
everybody.
to be with you both on this glorious day. My obeisances to you both. Vanchakalpa, Trubhyas.
Shubhischa, Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha.
Govardhana ki jai, Srila
Govardhana ki
Prabhupada
jai.
ki jai, Nitya Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari.
Hari